This is big time. This is going to be a special response about the Tyre Nichols situation. And I'm going to take my perspective. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon. I'm not going to talk about police reform. My perspective is you're all fucking hypocrites. Every single one of you. Okay? So we're going to start here. The definition of trifling: sneaky, shady, snoopy, out of pocket. Got to get that black slang. You're untrustworthy, shallow, and your behavior is always suspicious. You will lie, deny, and pry. All right. And then for the colonizers dictionary, trifling means unimportant or trivial. So I'm going to show 3 videos about our leaders and the media and how they're covering the beating death of Tyre Nichols. But before I do, the first video I want to show you is there's this scene from this movie. And there's a scene where, and I can't play the movie, but you know, this guy accuses this guy of holding back. And basically, this guy says to him, because there were blacks and whites had to overcome their differences. The black guy says, the white guy says to him, "Why don't you try hard? I know you're talented." And this guy says, "Attitude reflect leadership." So basically, my point is, why don't I care? Well, I do care, but our leaders don't care. The news doesn't care. And when suddenly all these people come out and they pretend to care, well, then it's just a joke. It doesn't mean anything and it's worthless. So let's start with the Black Congressional Caucus.
Is also coming from lawmakers right here in Washington, D.C. The Congressional Black Caucus has asked President Biden for a meeting to talk about reasonable police reforms. And now you have the Memphis Police Department saying it's permanently deactivating the special unit to which the 5 former officers were assigned, saying this in the process of listening.
Yeah, okay. So now suddenly, blah, blah, blah. So now suddenly the Black Congressional Caucus wants to do something, right? Wow, this must be a big issue. Crazy. This must happen all the time, right? Here's a video.
So you're leaving me for NJ.
I got a video of the President of the United States calling this person's family, this guy who was beaten by police. I'm not denying that. That's not what I'm talking about. Biden called the family.
He was a hell of a kid. He was a handsome boy.
Thank you. You know, Mr. President, he actually tattooed my name on his arm.
I do know that.
Okay.
That's what you call something special.
Wow, President Biden called the family of this guy who was beaten to death. Okay.
We begin in the United States.
And in across the pond, BBC, they have no crime to talk about, no knife attacks to talk about, no children being groomed by, Asian Pakistanis. Oh, no, they got to put their 2 cents in on this beating as well, right? Their police don't even have guns for the most part.
States where the fire department in the city of Memphis has sacked 3 people in connection with the fatal police beating of Tyre Nichols earlier this month.
That's right. The outrage is so crazy that they're now firing people from the fire department, people who didn't beat the guy, people who weren't even there, who didn't beat him like the 5 cops, but now they got to fire other people, right? This is how crazy it is. So here's my question. I'm going to show you 16 black kids who have been killed in the past 2 weeks. And I'm just going to shut up and let it play.
We're following developing news at noon. A teenager is dead after being shot by a St. Louis police officer. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Kay Quinn. The incident happened overnight near a gas station on North Florissant. 5 on your side's Laura Barcheski is live at the scene. And Laura, police are telling you that teenager was reaching for a gun.
Yes, Kay, St. Louis police were here working on what they called the Summer Violence Initiative when they saw several people in that gas station parking lot behind me with guns. Now, that's when they say the 16-year-old that was killed walked off quickly into an alley. They followed him and announced their presence. Then the teen started running, but he tripped over a curb, dropping his gun. As officers were approaching him, they say he reached for that gun, and that's when officers shot him. Police say they tried to help the victim until EMS.
Next.
Our live team coverage begins with Jeff Abel. Jeff has a closer look at the relentless juvenile violence in Baltimore City.
Well, police have yet to identify the 15-year-old victim in this latest case, and they have yet to identify the motive of what may have sparked the gunfire that left another city teenager dead.
It was a shock to me.
Tremont Brown raced home from work today to face the chilling news.
Boy died right down here in front of that white garage right there.
In the alley behind his home, a 15-year-old was shot dead in a spray of gunfire.
But I see the kids, they walk down through here every day when I get off from work, and I see them. And, you know, they be playing around and stuff like that, but nothing like this.
Police identified the victim as a 15-year-old student at Forest Park High School. 30 minutes after the close of school, the student fell to his death in an alley near Liberty Heights and El Dorado Avenues.
We are now struck with another tragedy of a young person, a high school student, a member of our community, struck dead.
The killing marks the third teenager to be gunned down in the first 25 days of the year.
Baltimore.
Are you sick of having issues with your...
I'm sick of all these ads that pop up. Let me do my fucking video without you bothering me.
Out of Baltimore, a quadruple shooting, and one of the victims is a 2-year-old boy. The shooting occurred on a commercial strip within walking distance of several museums.
2-year-old boy shot in the face.
One man died of his injuries. A man and a woman are in critical condition. Police say the toddler's in stable condition, but
the toddler. I don't have any words, man.
6-year-old has critical injuries from a car crash that happened as a result of the gunfire. Officers have one man in custody, but it's not clear if he was the shooter.
Only weak people shoot somebody when you know children are right there. And if you harboring that person, if that's your homeboy, if that's your man, if that's your cousin, I don't care.
Shut the fuck up. You're just as weak as all the other ones. Next.
A teenager was killed and 4 other people were injured yesterday following 3 separate shootings across Philadelphia. And it all happened on the same day. Mayor Jim Kenney announced that one of his priorities for his final year in office will be reducing gun violence.
Gun violence. Not black on black crime. Gun violence.
Action News reporter Catherine Scott reports.
The victim has now been identified by Philadelphia police as Samaj Richardson. He was only 16 years old when he was shot and killed here last night.
And I just heard him saying, help, help. And I went over there and he said he got shot.
Rashida Carter heard the shots from her North Philadelphia home and came running. She said she called 911 multiple times after finding 16-year-old Samaj Richardson collapsed near Erie and Carlisle. She said neighbors also started to call before getting through.
They didn't answer the phone. Like, I couldn't get nobody on the phone. And it was like, I kept calling and I just started screaming. Like, I
guess you shouldn't have defunded the police, huh?
Noon, another child is dead in our community at the hands of gun violence. New
gun violence. This is Atlanta.
Details today from police in a shooting where a 13-year-old boy was killed. Deshaun DuBose's death has been met with shock today. Community leaders and families, they are still searching for solutions to better protect Atlanta's youth. 11 Alive's Brittany Klein-Peter is live along MLK Boulevard near where this shooting happened. Brittany, tell us more.
MLK Boulevard. I guess they were judging you by the content of your character the whole time, huh?
Just about what went down in the community's response.
So Atlanta police have confirmed to me that they believe 13-year-old Deshaun DeBose was at the Cascade skating rink prior to being shot, but they say they found him with those gunshot wounds closer to the boulevard right up here on Martin Luther King Boulevard behind us. We have actually a grassroots organization that has come out to pass out gun lots and just raise awareness about firearm safety. All of this following this shooting over the weekend. Police say there were other kids at the scene when officers got there, and they discovered DeBose had been shot twice. They haven't released any details on a suspect. The boy's death, though, has renewed calls to end the senseless acts of violence.
Next. Apologize about the ads, but trying to skip around.
Dead shot trying to buy shoes in an online marketplace exchange on the city's south side.
CBS 2's Sabrina Franza is live outside the 5th Police District while the investigation is ongoing. Sabrina, what do we know so far?
Christina, those two teens, they were just trying to buy shoes from someone that they met online, never expecting that when they pulled up to purchase those shoes to retrieve them, that seller would then return gun.
I don't remember if this is Chicago or Cleveland.
Shots, start firing at the car. We did speak with family of the surviving teen tonight, and all they could tell us is that right now they're just asking for prayers. Just after 2 Sunday afternoon.
It was a lot of shots went off.
A witness. He asked us to hide his identity for fear of retaliation.
I was walking past, and then I...
You ever notice that all the witnesses are scared? Black on black crime, and they're even scared to come forward because, one, you teach them in school police are racist. Your leaders say police are racist, but they're also terrified of the retaliation from their own people, right?
Seen two dudes, one dude was walking up, and then I seen a truck pull up on the wrong side of the road.
Two teens went to pick up shoes purchased at an online marketplace, an 18-year-old boy and 17-year-old Jordan Nixon, who did not survive.
And then they just get to shoot. I'm talking
Jordan Nixon. Next.
Calls for justice echoing in West Baltimore as the family of Deontay Dorsey continues to cope with their tragic loss. His family hosting this candlelight vigil tonight in his memory. It has been more than 1 week now since he was shot and killed at the Edmondson Village Shopping Center. 4 of his classmates were also shot. As of tonight, police have not identified any suspects in the case. Deontay's family say they are committed to keeping his memory alive as the investigation continues.
We coming together, with love, because that's what Deontay would have wanted us to do.
You will hear a loud voice in this city until justice is served for Deontay.
Yeah, I seriously doubt that. I'm sorry he's dead, but
We begin with new developments in the shooting.
your leaders fail you. Our leaders fail us all the time. We can't even say black. You notice none of these reports have said who the shooters were? Who do you think killed all these black kids? I think I got one story in here that was like a Latino.
Shootings of 5 people in a home on Cleveland's west side. A 4th person has now died following what police are calling an act of domestic violence.
Yeah, I think this is the Latino story.
And tonight we're
So out of the 16 I found 15 black kids and 1 Latino.
also getting the first details on the suspect, a family member. Emma Henderson joins us now live with the latest. Emma.
Lena, we know that the suspect is 41-year-old Martin Muniz. He was arrested after flagging down a CPD patrol car and telling the officer what he did. The arrest happened just before 8 p.m. Friday, the night of the shooting. Muniz is accused of killing his sister, father, and nephew.
So got an 8-year-old little girl and a 16-year-old boy, 16-year-old teenager. Yes, other people died, but the focus of this video is the kids. So I got 2 kids in this one.
34-year-old Angelica Gonzalez.
Next.
The 3 victims, they're from the neighborhood, so they were known neighbors really.
This is back in Philly. I've eaten here before. Shangri-La, I got good food.
sad about the shooting. It happened
Need bulletproof glass though.
behind me here. You can see at the Shangri-La Chinese food takeout spot. It's been closed all day as police continue their investigation. Now we know that one person still fighting for their life, critical at the hospital, and police, they're still looking for the shooters.
Them to be young black. Now they're not going to be able to aspire and grow up.
A neighborhood in mourning after a triple shooting at a Chinese takeout spot on Chester Ave.
Like, city is really a war zone. Yeah. You know, and it's scary because, you know, like I said, just for that violence, and then people trying to protect themselves. You know, so it's a lot of guns out here.
Police say this happened around 11:30 last night. The victims were in the restaurant takeout area when police say two suspects opened fire. A 19-year-old man and a 43-year-old woman were killed in the shooting. A third victim, a 20-year-old man, fighting for his life at the hospital. Neighbors say the people hit were all from the area.
I never seen them get in any trouble.
So we got a 19-year-old. I mean, I'll be able to show his face when we go. We are going to go to the gun memorial, but next.
In Baltimore County.
Now, this was interesting. This wasn't a murder, but this was in Baltimore. This I think this week or last week. A bunch of black girls got into a bathroom, and one girl was stabbed 10 times in the bathroom, and another girl filmed it.
We're learning more about the brutal stabbing inside Lansdowne High School.
And I'm sure you didn't hear about it, right? Did Biden call their family? No.
A girl was hospitalized with severe injuries, and another girl was charged with attempted murder. The mother of the girl who recorded the video of the stabbing tells Fox 25 News now her daughter is being punished.
I feel like it's a vendetta against her because of this video.
So we're just going to stop it right there. So there's the knife. So they're fighting in the bathroom, in a bathroom stall. And then you got one girl, it looks like she's filming it from another bathroom stall. So I don't know if this girl was just filming it because that's typically what kids, especially black kids, do. You love to film yourselves, especially the Kia boys. They love to post on social media. Not only that they're stealing the car, but how to steal the car. So I don't know if this girl was posting this just because that's what your kids do, or if because she was just scared and just trying to, capture it. But yeah, so the girl who captured this got expelled, and the girl who was stabbed 10 times, she's fighting for her life. And then I just have a couple more that they don't have on YouTube, but they do have their own videos. It's local news. We'll go to New York City.
In the Bronx for a 15-year-old boy shot and killed as he left a police athletic league event. And these new images just into the newsroom of the car cops think the killer took off in. Eyewitness News reporter Stefan Kim leading us off at 11.
With tears welled up in their eyes, high school classmates in the Bronx paying their respects to a young man known for his kind heart and countless friends. Forever 15.
He was my son's friend. And I just broke the news to my son because he didn't know.
15-year-old Josu Lopez Ortega was shot in his head as he was leaving the police athletic league with friends before 9 last night on Longwood Avenue. Investigators say that's when a separate group nearby opened fire, striking the teen and his 16-year-old friend. Police say the two victims were not the intended targets. Lopez Ortega died at the hospital.
So a 15-year-old. And then we got coming out of Milwaukee. And I tried to put these in order as fast as I could, but I'm trying to play as many videos as I can.
To be about school and friends and growing up, not about gun violence. But sadly, 2 more teens died in shootings in
gun violence, gun violence, gun violence. And if it was a knife, it would be knife violence. And if it was a car, it would be car violence.
Milwaukee in the past 48 hours. Now, we're going to talk about solutions in just a moment. First, we begin with a look at the latest victim.
You don't have any solutions. Not the ones you need to do. You're too much of a fucking pussy to do.
Frank Healy joins us with that part of our story in the newsroom. Frank?
Well, Bill, people tell me it's tragic enough. There were over 200 homicides in Milwaukee last year, but knowing some of the victims are just kids makes it all that more sad.
I woke up seeing reflection of the police cars in my window. I walked
to the kitchen and looked outside. I did see some yellow tape.
Neighbors near the Atkinson Triangle, like Ronnie, say they didn't hear the shooting that happened early this morning near 9th and Atkinson. The Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victim as 15-year-old Javier Winston. He died at the scene. Police are
There. So a 15-year-old.
still investigating what happened and haven't released any further information about who was involved. Ronnie says he hopes.
So they just mentioned the 15-year-old. And then I think I got 2 articles out of New York City. No, pardon me. I got the New York Post covering 2 stories from Baltimore. One from Baltimore. This one's out of Baltimore. This is the New York Post. So a brother killed his 8-year-old. Devin Wilson killed Dylan King. Wilson was babysitting his 4 younger siblings. The teen allegedly claimed Dylan had accidentally shot himself in the head. His older brother was caring for him. And the kid, apparently, who shot him tried to kill himself. So there's another kid who's dead. That's Baltimore. And then I got one other New York Post article out of D.C. Four-year-old walks into D.C. hospital with gunshot wound, police say. A girl was breathing and conscious at the time of her arrival at the medical facility, but police have not released any further updates on the child's condition. Incident remains under investigation. So a 4-year-old girl was shot and walked into the hospital to save her own life. Don't know where her parents are. Maybe they're dead. I don't know. So this is my problem with our leaders and the media. You don't care. I just showed you 16 kids who've been killed in the past 2 weeks. I don't remember any of them getting a phone call from Joe Biden. I don't remember the Black Congressional Caucus coming up and talking to anybody on the news. I don't remember BBC mentioning anything about the issues or the problems. It seems as though when Black people murder children, it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue. But as soon as we can all get some cause to get behind, some sort of way to grift and make money and blame white people, because remember, those 5 cops, the new conspiracy theory is because they're cops, they some sort of institutional, systematic white supremacy. They now became white adjacent because they're no longer Black people because they wear the uniform. And now we got to talk about police reform. Motherfucker, you don't even care when Black people murder children. Okay? And for a little bit of a larger perspective, where did I get all my sources? Here. This is the gun memorial. Every person who dies with a gun in the United States usually ends up on this list. We're just going to look at the month of January. How many Black people do you see? Are you seeing an overrepresentation of one group of people? And again, who do you think killed them? Do you think it was the police? Are police the problem? We're only at January 23rd. Again, are you seeing an overrepresentation of one demographic? Are you seeing it? Anybody saying anything? Anybody mentioning it? Anybody talking about it? Well, no, they didn't die by the police, so it's not important. Biden didn't call any of these people. He didn't call any of those children. Our leaders are so full of shit. I don't even know what to say. And, finally, for all you fucking fake ass people who went to Hobby Lobby and you went to Hobby Lobby and you got your signs and your megaphones like this fat bitch. You know what? You can go jump in a lake. You can go gargle bleach. You can go play in traffic. Okay. I can't even believe that these fucking fake ass people with all of their signs. I just showed you 16 kids who are dead in the past 2 weeks. Nobody cares. Attitude, reflect, leadership. It's all bullshit to me. You won't march for your children because then you have to face who's killing them. But you'll march when you have an action, but you'll march against 5 black cops, right? And again, I'm not here to talk about right and wrong. I'm here to point out the fact that when children are murdered by black people, and I even have that one instance with that Latino guy who murdered his whole family, none of you care. None of you. So anyway, I'm big time. And if you're just now jumping on the bandwagon of white supreme pizza police reform, go fuck yourself.